Having Charlie White on the Sports Buffet podcast was a bucket list item for me. We had a little addition of the name game. Charlie White talks about some people he idolized, talks about some past and present Hilltoppers, and more. Charlie White on the Sports Buffet podcast. Do a little bit of the name game now. I'm going to probably name some people that were on that 88 time frame. So people you'll know. Let's start with Reed Ebert.
Reed Ebert was my hero. He was the starting center when I was the JV center at Glass. He was 2 years ahead of me. I wanted to be just like Reed. I wanted to do everything just like Reed Ebert on the football field. He was AAA state lineman of the year, great teammate, very good to me, and a great friend.
And that's the other thing I don't think we lose track of sometimes. EC Glass was a AAA school at one point, and this is like, playoff games were not – there was no such thing as a close playoff game then unless you were at home because then you're
the road
going –
trips were long.
Yes, yeah. Neil Calloway.
Great leader, great guy, great friend. The perfect guy to be the quarterback for EC Glass High School in that particular season. Just a gamer, and a winner. Winner. If you gave me one word, was this supposed to be one word?
No, this is like 100
Well, if you gave me one word, I'd say winner.
This is not an essay, so we can go as many words.
Yeah, just the winner, as his son Max was, too, the winner.
We've talked about him a little bit ad nauseum, but we'll talk some more. Coach Bo Henson. Something we haven't said before. What we say?
Just that Coach is the kind of coach that made, as an adult, I want Coach to be proud of me. The kind of guy, the kind of presence in your life that, I haven't played for him for 30, however many years that would be.
A few.
And I would still be anxious. I would still be disappointed in myself as a person if I had an encounter with Coach Henson where he did not leave feeling proud of who I am.
Johnny Palmer.
Brilliant offensive mind. The same type of presence in my life, but didn't have the opportunity for that relationship to continue to grow later in life because he tried. Coach Palmer died of a heart attack in preseason of my senior year in high school. But just truly a Hilltopper in every sense of the word.
What made the state championship team so good?
Oh gosh, it had some tremendous leadership on that roster. Again, I wasn't a contributor, but I had a good seat. I was dressing on Friday nights as a JV player, and so front row seat to it every Friday night. In terms of the athletic qualities, was just a ferocious level of physicality, particularly on the defensive side of the ball. I mean, just some phenomenal defensive players. And some of them, you had a 9-time Pro Bowler playing defensive tackle in Reuben Brown. And I think I'm pretty qualified to weigh in on this because I was a scout team offensive lineman as a JV player and had to go against these guys every day. If you asked me who I thought the best defensive lineman on that state championship football team was based on trying to block them, Keith Trent. Okay? So, Keith Trent was a phenomenal football player. Okay? People don't know Keith Trent's name. Well, if you played with him or against him, you darn sure know his name. And that's not saying, Reuben Brown was everything they say Reuben Brown was.
Right.
Reuben Brown was an unbelievable football player, okay, as his NFL track record suggests. But they were guys like Keith Trent, Chip Ferguson, I shouldn't be naming people because I'll leave people out, who were just phenomenal football players. And their level of physicality on the defensive side of the ball, there were a number of games won through just pure intimidation.
How important was the scout team? Because if the scout team's not giving a good look to the real team,
scout team's always important.
Right.
Any championship level team has great scout team contributions.
They better.
I think our best contributions that year would have just been getting through the season because I can tell you being a JV player going against that defense in practice, that was not a pleasant experience.
You're out of eligibility, so I think we can ask this question.
Yeah, sure.
Do you have any tricks to blocking people? I mean, was it just – I think about the movie Necessary Roughness. Tell him a story, spit in his ear, just keep him off my rear.
They're not tricks anybody couldn't think of. Hand placement is everything. If your hands are inside, you can get away with murder holding people. If your hands are outside, it's kind of like everybody says, oh, well, you could call holding on every play. Well, you really could. You could call holding on every play. But if your hand placement is inside the defender, you win that hand placement battle. That's everything.
Give me a name from your playing days that was fast that people might not remember. A really fast guy. We can take our time. I can tell a story.
Tracy Donegan was the fastest football player I remember, either him or Timmy Dean. Tracy Donegan was a receiver at Glass, was 1 year ahead of me. Caught a touchdown pass in the state championship game. Made a number of huge plays my junior year to win football games for us, including a punt return down at GW to win at GW. And then Timmy Dean was like a 1,400-yard rusher on the state championship team. I think a state champion in the 60-meter hurdles. I'll have the distance wrong or the event wrong. But just, in terms of just burners associated with EC Glass, those guys could fly.
Help me out. EC Glass, I think we talked about it over text. EC Glass guy that went to VMI.
Mike, linebacker you asked me about, Mike Rogers?
I have heard one of the harder hitters
I believe
you would meet.
I think I told you, I was a fifth-year senior playing my last year of eligibility at Wayne & Mary when we played VMI, and he was starting as a true freshman. So, that tells you the math. We didn't overlap in high school.
Right.
I had some awareness of Mike because of his reputation as a player, and I did hear he was a hard hitter. The hardest hitter I ever ran into at any level, high school or college, was one of my teammates was Carl Johnson, the linebacker for Glass, he would have been my year, class of 91. He was one of these, there was no paint on Carl's helmet. It was a blue helmet with a white stripe.
Right.
Well, it was all white right here on the crown of the helmet because of, this whole helmet-to-helmet contact thing being an issue now. Right. I don't know if Carl Johnson ever made a tackle where it wasn't helmet-to-helmet. But, great football player, great guy, but most physical experience of my life was running into Carl Johnson.
Does anybody stick out to you from an opposition that, oh my gosh, we got to go against this guy again? Like from that toughness or, just a physical matchup that was tough for you guys or for you personally?
There were plenty that were tough for me personally.
Right. Who's maybe one of the better players you've seen that is not from EC Glass, up close and in person?
Oh, I thought JT Morris at Heritage High School was a running back. He ended up signing with Penn State.
Right.
He was somebody, he and I were the same year, same age, so he sort of haunted you each step of the way. Meaning, my Lincoln teams, the teams I played on at Lincoln Middle, we never beat Sandusky. When I was playing for Glass, that state championship class beat Heritage 3 times, but then my junior year we played Heritage 3 times. We went 1-2. Then my senior year we lost to Heritage, JT Morris's senior year. So I think if you could, when JT Morris was on the field in a football game I was playing in, over the years growing up here, we beat him once, and it wasn't just him.
Wow.
He had some great teammates. It was a really talented Heritage teams, but he was.
Now, was Keith Hamilton in that time frame?
Yeah, well, Hamilton was 2 years older, so
okay.
he would have been going against Reed Ebert and that crew, the guys who were 2 years old. Keith Hamilton was a phenomenal football player.
Sure.
But for my group, the guy that had our number was JT Morris, and I think JT Morris was as good of a running back as I've seen in Lynchburg. JT and Elijah Davis at Heritage a few years ago, I felt like were comparable level talents. And there's some other great ones. I'm not just slighting anybody. Tony Graves at Heritage Glass, Mike Wall, Roger Johnson. A bunch of good ones. Vince Williams. But I thought JT Marge, as far as opponents, the guy that you worried about and the guy that you didn't have so much success against were Heritage teams with JT Morris on.
How much contact did you have? Was Coach Stanberry a coach at Glass when you were playing?
He was, yeah. Okay. He was our defensive coordinator. He also coached me in JV. He was our JV head coach, and just a great coach and a great guy, and just a great example of if you're the right kind of person, you can be a great coach or educator in any area, because Fred Stanberry never played football.
Okay.
He was a great wrestler, I believe, at Brookville, part of that Brookville wrestling tradition, and became a great football coach, but never played the game.
Final name, and we talked about football a lot, but a guy that stuck around Glass from time to time, Tom Trice.
Tom Trice, love Coach Trice. Just a great part. As you know, I think underappreciated is apparently the type of athlete that Tom was in his day, to have played, I believe, played both football and basketball at Virginia Tech is pretty phenomenal to consider.
Yeah.
But he is such a humble guy that you'd have to drag that information out of him. And he continues to pour into our athletic teams. There was a great, when I was involved with the Glass Football Booster Group, and in one of Jeff Woody's breakthrough seasons at Glass, when he finally reached that level where we were playing at Salem for the regional championship. Okay, this was Jeff ended up having 2 11-win seasons and a 12-win season at Glass. His first 11-win season, Drayshawn Kendrick's the quarterback. I think it was Drayshawn's junior year. They're about to play at Salem for the regional championship. And on behalf of the Football Booster Group, we call up Coach Woody and we say, Coach, look, we're going to Salem. And, Salem.
Yeah.
Big time, you're going to Salem. We're like, we want you to roll in on a charter bus. Okay, if you want a charter bus, Coach, we'll get you a charter bus, right? Because we don't want our guys showing up.
Right.
Salem Stadium's really, the locker rooms, everything about it feels big time.
Yeah.
Right? So you want our guys to feel big time when they roll up there. We want them to feel like they're rolling in on equal footing. Okay. So Woody says, great. Okay, I'll talk to the AD. We're going to get our charter bus. Thank y'all so much.
Right.
So we're starting to scramble around to find some donors to help with the charter bus. And Woody calls back in about 2 hours. And he said, we all took a vote, and no offense, but we don't want the charter bus. And I was like, well, that's fine, Coach. But are you sure? I mean, the kids might like it. And he said, all the kids and all the coaches, we want Coach Trice.
Right.
And Coach Trice drives a yellow bus.
Yep.
Or more accurately,
the
white
activity bus. Yeah.
Yeah, but he's still. Tom Trice is still so fundamental to the culture of the place and to the culture of winning when things are going well that you don't want a charter bus if it means you can't have Tom Trice driving.
I met Tom Trice this year outside the press box before the Glass Heritage game, and to talk to him was one of my bucket list items because for a guy that loves high school sports as much as I do, Tom Trice is one of those names that's still living in Lynchburg that can, talk about great eras. And you're right. You almost have to talk to other people about Tom Trice because Tom Trice, even in my limited dealings, the humility is he's not going to talk about himself as much as other people will talk about him.
I am so grateful that my both, and my daughters too, she was a field hockey player at EC Glass, both of their teams got to know Mr. Trice, through their, whether it was Tom driving the bus or being around the team and encouraging them.
Right.
And George likes to say sometimes between 6 and 7 p.m. on a Friday night, he'll text me from Williamsburg and just randomly say, let's get it done early, man, because that is the phrase that he says Tom Trice would say. He would pull the team bus up to the visiting team locker room, put that thing in park, open the front door, and as the kids started getting off the bus, he'd say, let's get it done early tonight, man. And he would say it to them every time, no matter who they're playing, and George still thinks of it every Friday night.
Final thing, when you're gone, what do you want people to say about Charlie White?
Oh, gosh. Well, I doubt they will say much.
I'll say a few words.
Hopefully they will say that, he was a committed father and husband, and that he tried to help out others when he could.
This has been a pleasure for me, in all honesty.
Yeah, me too, Bob. I've always enjoyed your work, loved your interviews, and appreciate the opportunity to meet you.
We'll shoot for George's at some point. George White's at this point.
That'll be more interesting if you're a high school football fan.
Charlie White, extremely modest because it has been on my list to interview a guy who was the father, well, still is the father of George White and has a great reputation in the Lynchburg football circles, and that is Mr. Charlie White. So it was a pleasure for me to talk to the lifelong Hilltopper on the Sports Buffet podcast. My name is Bob Alvis.